Good evening. The June 8th, 2021 regular school board meeting of ISD 63 Roseville Area Schools is hereby called to order. Clerk Johnson, could you please take the roll tonight?
Of course. Chair Boguszewski.
Here.
Director Chu.
Here.
Treasurer Goggins.
Here.
Director Anderson.
Here.
Director Shaw.
Here.
Clerk Johnson is here.
Assistant Superintendent Lake, do we have any adjustments to the agenda this evening?
We do not.
Thank you. We do have some announcements. I think the first announcement will be by Dr. Lake, introducing our new equity principles on special assignment. Dr. Lake.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm beyond thrilled to introduce two additional leadership hires in the newly established Office of Educational Equity. It's my privilege to introduce our new elementary equity advancement principal on special assignment, Dr. Mary Bussman. Dr. Bussman has earned her PhD from the University of Minnesota in organizational policy, leadership, and development. Her dissertation was titled Peer Equity Coaching to Increase Cultural Responsiveness in Teaching and Leading. Dr. Bussman has served as the Brimhall Elementary School principal for the past 3 years. And prior to that, she has served as an Equity Alliance administrator, middle school principal, and of course, a classroom fine arts teacher. Mary brings to us dedicated passion and significant leadership experience in the area of racial equity and educational programming. Dr. Bussman.
Thank you, Dr. Lake. I really appreciate that. School Board Chair Boguszewski and directors, thank you so much for having me this evening. It is an honor to join this esteemed team. I am thrilled to be a part of Roseville Area Schools, and even more thrilled and excited to tap into the creativity and depth of learning that we all can do regarding racial and cultural equity in our district and in our world. So I'm super excited to be part of the team and so happy to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Welcome.
Bussman.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Next, it is also my privilege to introduce our new secondary equity advancement principal on special assignment, Miss Angie McGaster Woods. Ms. Woods has served as a Roseville Area High School associate principal, dean of students, behavioral specialist, and cultural liaison. In every single role that Angie has served, she has left her lasting leadership mark not only in our programming, but in the lives of our students, families, and staff in Roseville. Angie brings an abundance of energy and vision in many areas, including the area of raising the voice and experiences of our students and families within our district. Welcome aboard, Ms. Woods.
Hey, everybody. I'm super excited. I want to thank the school board and all of our leaders here. There's lots of colleagues on this call as well. And I'm super excited to be a part of this team. I'm doubly as excited to see what we have in the future, partnering with our families and our students, as those voices are so important for our district. And so I'm super encouraged. I think that our team with Dr. Bussman, we've known each other for a while now. And Mr. Delon, I'm just super excited just to be working in this educational equity office. So thank you for this opportunity, and let's get this work done.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
And congratulations to both of you on this new role. And I think congratulations to us as a district, because we're lucky to have had you here to be able to ask to take on this new assignment. So we look forward to working with you and hearing all the great things that you and Dr. Lake and the rest of our administrative staff will do in the coming years. Thank you very much. Jenny, back to you. I think there's also a second announcement you wanted to talk about relative to the learning plan, perhaps?
Yeah, thank you. Two additional announcements. One, as of Friday, our Roseville Area School Safe Learning Plan will be once again updated on the district website, and will include a public comment survey that will remain open through June 20th per MDE's guidance. So wanted the board and the public to be aware of that. And then one last announcement, I just wanted to raise awareness for our families. You should have received a message home today in regards to our recent high temperatures. And again, for board and family awareness, I'd just like to read that briefly tonight. A weather forecast suggests that the extreme temperatures across Minnesota will continue through Friday. In-person learning will continue in all of our school buildings. However, if families choose to keep their students home this week, those absences will be excused. School buses will continue to operate on their planned schedule. And also the message includes our mitigation strategies in regards to the heat. So just want folks to be safe. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lake. Any other announcements or comments from fellow board members or others attending? Seeing none, we'll move on. There is no one here in attendance for community input. Michelle, did we receive any letters to be read online at all today?
We did not.
Thank you. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, less retirements and gifts.
So moved.
Thank you, Katie.
Second.
Thank you, Curtis. Any discussion? Seeing none. Curtis, could you take the vote, please?
Director Chu,
Aye.
Treasurer Goggins,
Aye.
Director Anderson,
Aye.
Director Shaw,
Aye.
Chair Boguszewski,
Aye.
Clerk Johnson votes aye.
Thank you. That passes. We did have a retirement. Clerk Johnson, could you share that with us?
Yes, Joan Barber, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Parkview Center School, is retiring this year after 25 years in the district. Again, people who come to Roseville like to stay in Roseville, and that is attributed to everybody here. So, with great appreciation, I move the retirement of Joan Barber.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second with great appreciation.
Thank you, Katie. Curtis, could you take the vote again?
Treasurer Goggins,
Aye.
Director Anderson,
Aye.
Director Shaw,
Aye.
Director Chu,
Aye.
Chair Boguszewski,
Aye.
and Clerk Johnson votes aye.
Thank you. And yes, as Kitty and Curtis referenced, we're just lucky to have people who are so dedicated to our kids and our families and our staff and our school. So thank you, Ms. Barber, for a quarter century of service to all of us. Thank you. We did also, again, have some gifts. Director Chu, I think you're going to read those tonight.
With great appreciation, definitely. So we have Sue and Joe Woksnet, I hope I pronounced it correctly, who gifted Century Park Elementary School with some winter clothing items for students in need. And then we have E.D. Williams PTA donated some some funds to the Books for Media Center. And so is the Parkview Center School PTSA, also donated some funding for volunteer and events coordinator position. And then we have Tricia Vicario, Vanessa J. and Philip A. Anderson, and also Kenneth E. Machkowski, donated to the boys golf team for Roseville Area High School. As always, we are so appreciative of our community and their support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rose, for sharing those. With that, we can move to reports and non-action items. And the first one looks to be the ATPPS annual report, which is being shared by, Florence Odegaard. Hello, how you doing tonight? Oh, you may be muted.
That always happens.
Yeah,
Hi.
glad to see you. I not to sidetrack it, I've known Flo for years, from way back when she was principal at Harambe and our daughter was there many years ago. So our daughter, whose 24th birthday was Sunday, Flo. So if you can imagine.
God.
Time flies.
Yes,
Take
time
it away.
flies.
Sorry. Yep.
Yes, thank you. Mary, we're gonna, are able to display your screen? Yes.
All right, we're all seeing it, I think.
Yes. Okay. My name is Florence Odegaard. Mary Hanula and I will report on the implementation and effectiveness of the alternative teacher professional pay system and make recommendations to the school board. We are pleased to present some of the district's continuous improvement efforts. The alternative teacher professional pay system is also known as quality compensation, or QCOM. It is a voluntary program that allows local districts and teachers union to work together and agree on a plan that meets the 4 components of the law. The first component is career advancement options, which refers to opportunities for teachers to step into formal teacher leadership roles. In our district, there are lead teachers who strive, these are lead teachers who strive to build capacity in themselves and their peers to increase effectiveness of our educational practices and improve student learning. The second component is job-embedded professional development, which refers to all professional learning opportunities teachers have during their contractual day throughout the school year. In our district, we are using this opportunity to strive to implement professional learning communities with fidelity. During this presentation, I will refer to professional learning communities as PLCs. Lead teachers facilitate ongoing site-based professional development and provide ongoing support to collaborative teams and individual teachers focusing on quality instruction and student achievement. Collaborative work is at the heart of job-embedded professional development. The teacher development and evaluation is the third component. The district's current teacher development and evaluation plan meets statutory requirements. The fourth component is performance pay and a reformed salary schedule. The current teacher salary schedule meets statutory requirements. Next slide, Mary. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Minnesota Department of Education allowed school districts to make short-term modifications to aspects of the program while staying within the scope of the plan. To this effect, we eliminated the peer of choice observation last year and this year. We typically have 2 observations focused on the teacher growth goal. One is done by lead teachers, and the other observation is done by a peer of choice. A teacher selects another teacher to observe them, and the observing teacher provides feedback. This includes a pre-observation conference, then the observation, and a post-conference is conducted. Logistically, this would have been difficult to do and very time-consuming. As I stated earlier, the fourth component of the program is performance pay and a reformed salary schedule. In the months of June, July, and August, schools conduct a comprehensive needs assessment and set site goals. And in the fall, teachers in their collaborative team set team goals, also known as student goals. Teams develop action plans to help them meet their goals and monitor progress towards goal attainment. Teachers earn variable pay when these goals are attained. As you know, there was no state testing at the end of last year, and at the beginning of this year, we were not sure standardized assessments would be administered. This impacted how goals were written. Additionally, during the school year, learning models changed, causing teacher and student movement. Some teachers were reassigned, some students had different teachers throughout the year. This posed some challenges with obtaining data. Due to all these reasons, we decided to focus on the quality of the instructional practices, paying attention to active participation in collaborative teams, implementing action steps that teachers developed, and reflecting on instructional practices. Next slide here. Our program focus last year and this year was on job-embedded professional development with the goal of implementing PLCs with fidelity. The professional development is provided by lead teachers. Mary, next slide. We gathered feedback to help us gauge the effectiveness of the alternative teacher professional pay system. An end-of-year survey was administered to lead teachers. A survey focusing on implementation of PLCs was administered to licensed staff. We obtained feedback from site program reviews. We looked at student outcomes. The Teacher Development and Evaluation Steering Committee provided feedback throughout the school year. At this time, Mary Hanola will talk about the work we did with lead teachers.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here with Florence and talk about some of the work that I did with Dr. Bussman and Florence that we talked about. This year with professional development, I should say personally, I've worked at Roz for 24 years, came in the same year as Jenny. I think it's 24, Jenny, maybe it's more. I'm a product of the equity training we've had in this district since 2002. I'm also a social studies teacher, a lead teacher, and a CRCT facilitator, and I am working at Roz. This past school year, as I mentioned, I've had the privilege to design and create equity-centered professional development for the lead teachers and principals with Dr. Mary Bussman and Florence Odegaard. One of the things to think about with our professional development is with our lead teachers training was centered in equity coaching. So some of the things that we really focused on was, first of all, as we planned our equity coaching sessions, we really centered our training on anti-racism through courageous conversations. This work included teachers focusing on growing their own cultural competence through using various frameworks and equity-centered coaching stances. We also really connected current issues to practices and dilemmas, and making that connection to understand the impact of racism in curriculum, classrooms, and spaces if we're doing our own self-work as well as that larger work. We also focused on coaching practice with each other, role play, and we worked on critical incidences. So that's one part of it. The second part is that we got feedback. So we did a number of sessions, Florence, I think it was 6 sessions through the year. And as we did this, our feedback at the end of the year from the lead teachers included the following. There was a strong indication to really continue our work in equity in all we do, in centering equity in all we do, and centering that in anti-racist work. This included continuing lead teacher practice and coaching staff through an equity lens, practicing the equity coaching role play, connecting equity to current dilemmas of practice, and understanding that in order to change our practice, we have to truly center our students and our families, and that equity coaching requires that self-work in order to build that deeper capacity, deeper relationships across the district, and building capacity across the district to continue this work. So that was some of the feedback that we got from our lead teachers as well. And this goes back to Florence.
Yes, thank you. As I said earlier, we administered a survey to all of our licensed staff. We asked teachers to report on the support they received from lead teachers. At some sites, PLC coaches also supported teachers in the PLC implementation. As you can see with those percentages, a high percentage of teachers agreed that lead teachers supported and guided them in improving the collaborative team process and supporting them when they needed assistance. Lead teachers supported them in identifying power standards and developing common formative assessments and grading criteria. We can see that the least percentages is 82 and the high being 90. So it really showed that we value our lead teachers. So that's right there. I also want to note that the percentages on your screen represent the teachers who agreed or strongly agreed to the statements. So 78% of teachers agree that the lead teacher guided and supported them in using data analysis protocols. We have spent a lot of time this school year working on fine-tuning data analysis protocols. This will be an area of focus for next year. 81% of teachers agreed that lead teachers helped with navigating data, and that led to culturally responsive instruction and provided resources on evidence-based instructional practices. We also asked teachers to report on the support they received from their administrators. Overall, the percentage of teachers who agreed to the statements we posed is lower than for lead teachers. 88% agreed that the administrator had high expectations for them. With regard to administrators supporting teams in developing and monitoring goals, we have 73% of staff agreeing. While 72% of staff agreed that the administrator provided guidance or supports for identifying power standards and incorporating the equity compass. The equity compass is a framework we use to guide instruction. It has four components. The first one being equity pedagogy, second one, culturally responsive content. The third is collective knowledge creation, and the fourth is social justice orientation. "71% of teachers agreed that the administrator held them accountable for creating and implementing power standards throughout the year, while 69% of staff agreed that the administrator created a plan for implementing interventions and extensions for student learning. I must note that according to the district PLC implementation plan, this will be an area of focus next year. When we asked teachers to report on the impact of PLC processes, as you can see, a high percentage of staff reported that PLC processes of identifying students' outcome and participating in collaborative team and PLC training positively impacted their professional growth and student outcomes. Those numbers are high, 97, 89, 95. Regarding PLC processes to create common formative assessments, use of common formative assessments to inform instruction, again, a very high percentage of staff reported that these processes positively impacted their professional growth and student learning outcomes, again in the 90s. In addition to quantitative data, we also gathered qualitative data. When we asked what was most valuable about supports received from lead teachers, most teachers appreciated and valued guidance they received from lead teachers, specifically with assessment tools, writing goals, coaching, and instructional support. Lead teachers were available for day-to-day problem solving and provided resources for teachers when they asked them, or just being as a resource for teachers. With regard to supports received from administrators, teachers valued encouragement they received from administrators. They also appreciated the PLC structures that were put in place, and they really liked the fact that principals have high expectations for them. They also valued feedback from the administrators and the overall flexibility. It was a difficult year. The administrators were flexible. Teachers appreciated that, and that came out loud and clear in the information we gathered. We are always looking for areas of improvement. So when we implement a program, we always find ways to improve. We want to continuously improve. We're a school, and what we do, we want to continue to fine tune. So based on the site program reviews and surveys, teachers want more time dedicated to PLC activities and processes such as examining student work, assessment, interventions, and extensions. So this is not a surprise, because the district had a 3-year plan to implement PLCs. It's complicated, it's nuanced, and we really need time so that we really make sure we're implementing it with fidelity. Because we do believe that if we implement PLCs with fidelity, we will make sure we pay attention to every student. So there was a strong request to make the PLC process work for non-classroom teachers. So that is something that we will be revisiting. Some staff are requesting more administrator contact during collaborative teams. Meetings. We know there's one administrator, and so sometimes we just need to talk about how we make sure that the administrator is present when the teams need them. So that's something that we're going to be working with internally. And And again, it was loud and clear the need to continue to focus on culturally responsive teaching practices. And again, every time people want more time, there are a handful of people who say there's too much, we have too many meetings. So we just need to really find a balance as we continue to do this work. To gauge the effectiveness of the HPPS or Alternative Teacher Professional Pay System, we looked at team goal attainment. Collaborative teams set student goals, create action steps to help them attain the goals, and monitor progress throughout the year. As you can see, 74% of teachers met their team goal. This is lower than the previous years. However, I must note that given everything that has happened this year, I believe teachers worked very hard and we can only improve from here. I also want to add that this, the data on team goal attainment does not include Harambee because of the year-round schedule. Mary, back to you.
Yes, sorry, I'm driving the PowerPoint, so it's back and forth for me. Okay, so then there was also specific recommendations that came about. First of all, having to do with staff to lead teachers and administration, in this case, lead teachers. Continue supporting lead teachers. So continue professional development for lead teachers and administration that is steeped in equity and culturally responsive teaching. To continue to align equity work district-wide, so it supports all staff in order to put our students and our families in the middle of learning. So one of the things Florence talked about, like how do we make sure our non-classroom teachers are getting the same support in their spaces? To continue to also to provide district level resources to support professional learning community implementation. And then again, to revisit collaborative team structure and expectations, differentiating for our non-classroom teachers so they can continue to grow. So we have this concept of differentiating practice in all spaces at ROS, for example, for social workers, counselors, support staff.
Next slide, please. So additional recommendations. We are recommending that we continue PLC training with emphasis on supporting teachers create common formative assessments, effectively use data analysis protocols, as well as use the data to inform instruction. We will continue to guide teachers on writing rigorous goals that are yet attainable. We will follow the district PLC implementation plan to focus on PLC questions 2 and 3. If you're wondering what that is, just to be clear, there are 4 PLC questions. For the past 2 years, we have focused on PLC questions 1 and 2. Question 1 is, what do we expect our students to learn? That refers to academic standards, skills we expect our students to know or master, and our outcomes. Question number 2 focuses on states, how do we know our students have learned? So this area focuses on evidence of mastery, common formative assessments, summative assessments, and the use of data analysis protocol. And question 3, how do we respond when students don't learn or haven't learned? So if you teach and they haven't learned, you haven't taught. So what do? We intervene. We make sure that we teach another way so that they can have that level of mastery. And question 4, how do we respond if they already learned it? So the first thing is you have to, it can be a pre-assessment, it could be a post-assessment, but if they already know it, then our job is to deepen and enhance student understanding. So that is, those last 2 questions is something that we heard loud and clear that we need to focus on. You will hear people say, win time, what I need time. That is space for us to be able to do the work of questions 3 and 4 to respond to that. So at this time, we'll entertain questions.
Well, thank you, Florence and Mary, for sharing this with us. So I'll open it up to my fellow board members. And feel free to take it off the screen unless a board member wants to refer to a specific percentage. We can call it back up again. Any questions? Curtis.
Hi there. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I guess my main question is there anything that you've learned during this year that you, specifically this year, because things were so odd, that you want to take forward?
What I have learned is that the strong need for us to really focus on our PLC, because those collaborative teams were really there when we couldn't get together face to face. That is something that really drove our work. So that is the one thing, and I think it came out loud for teachers appreciating the fact that, I mean, human beings, we're social beings. And so that allowed time for that contact, that allowed time for us to coordinate our work, that allowed time for us to do the necessary social emotional learning practices that our students needed, that our staff needed. So again, the one big takeaway is that PLCs are here to stay. And we should make sure we do a fine job with it, because I believe that it is a strategy that we're going to use to eliminate the opportunity gaps.
Right. Thank you.
I could add something. I think I agree with Florence, and then I would say that relationships and really getting to know each other and understanding who we are in the work, taking the time to ask those equity questions to get to who we are, and then allowing us to then get deeper into how we work on our PLCs and how we also connect our curriculum with our students and families. So I would say continuing to have those equity layers to steep ourselves in it, to get to know each other as human beings, and then how can we support each other in this work? Yeah, that would be my biggest piece.
Kitty, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, I was just it's kind of a question and comment mixed in. In looking at your numbers, it looks like the teachers felt very supported by the lead teachers and administrations, despite the fact that we had a pandemic going on and some really different processes, I would imagine, in terms of how the support was offered. And I was wondering if you could just comment on how that, how the support was offered this year in a different way to still be able to achieve the kind of results that occurred in terms of people feeling supported.
What I think that the relational piece again was really important, and we decided to do things a different way. We found different ways to do things, and as bad as the pandemic was, it taught us something. It taught us that we can do things differently, and we can be creative, and we can support people. And I think that teachers really saw that their principals or administrators are human beings with hearts, because a lot of comments about being kind, a lot of comments about being flexible, about comments of encouragement. So I think it just allowed us to really go deeper and use the assets that all of us bring together. So I think it opened our eyes to a lot of things, and how we can teach and teach differently, and how you can be in your house and be in my house, we can plan a lesson, and we can still get together and analyze data and look at patterns and see what we're going to do with the students that did not master the outcome. So I think that is my answer right now.
Thank you.
I could speak again for Roz, and just in general, I think training with Mary and Florence and having all the leads, having the same pedagogy helped also those lead teachers coach into those teams with the same pedagogy. One other thing I think was important for Roz was to have that 90-minute dedicated PLC time, to have that time per week to really look at our curriculum and spend time together. I think it both built relationships and it both built curriculum, and also layering the equity on top of it. I think the structure provided people to work together for a dedicated amount per week, and to really look forward to that.
And may I add, I just thought of another thing. I think when something happens that we're not prepared for, our vulnerabilities show up. And when we are allowed to be vulnerable in front of our peers and feel comfortable with it, we grow. So that is one thing that I really took out of that. One day you're teaching, the next day you're going to a distance learning. I mean, it was just, I mean, kudos to the team. It was hard work.
Any other questions or thoughts? Rose?
Yeah, I just thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the work. I was smiling the whole time because I was a former teacher, did a lot of coaching. I'm like, yeah, right. This is really retention and leadership strategy too. I think when teachers feel like they are thriving, right? They are relating to each other and working together. Is really, then they want to stay. They want to keep working and keep improving their practice. My question is, I think you mentioned over 550 district teachers participated. So remind me, like, what percent is that of everybody in the district that are possible?
Where is Lisa? I know that when I do the percentages, I have to go in and count all the teachers.
Yeah.
And all the teachers that participate in the program, I don't think I included Harambe. That was about 555.
Okay.
So Lisa will have to help me about the total that we have. But in response to the survey, we had 400 teachers that responded to the survey. So I can't tell you the exact number because I'm going to mess it up. So I'm not going to even try.
So is there efforts to maybe try to encourage even more teachers to be part of the program?
Oh no, all teachers at all our schools participate in the program.
Yeah.
So we all voted to, it's voluntary, we all voted to participate in the programs. Yes, so everybody. But for the survey, what we do is we set time during, I think it was May 28th, where we give time for teachers to respond to the survey. We want a high participation, so we carve out time for them to respond.
Got it.
And respond to it. And then it was open till today. When I looked today, it was 400. So yeah, we try.
I can help answer the question. I think Rose, you asked how many teachers that we have, licensed staff that we have. When the last of the staff diversity report was 561.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we're close.
Thank you.
So, but also know that even when I report on the 500 something, sometimes long-term subs come in, and for this program, a teacher has to be with us for at least half the school year to be eligible for variable pay. So that is how we wrote the plan.
Thank you. Other questions?
Yeah. I was going to add that what we do with all this data is that we're going to disaggregate it by school and send it to the schools so they can use that for continuous improvement as we're about to start writing our school improvement plans. So this is one source of data that they will use to inform that plan.
Thank you. Are there any final questions or thoughts? Looks like we're okay. Thank you again, both Mary and Florence, for, again, a thorough report to us to let us know what's going on and how we're succeeding. I think that, one thing that struck me again that is just so presumed, I think, in our district is how equity is at the heart of this program also. And equity training, is embedded in professional development. It's something that I think it's so natural with you all and us all in this district, and that's not true in many districts, I fear. So again, just something to note, I think, as we move ahead. So thank you very much for your presentation to us tonight and answering our questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to our first action item, which is a placement on unrequested leave that will be introduced by our Director of Human Resources, Lisa Chang. Lisa.
Hey, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on here. I was here 2 weeks ago to propose a placement on unrequested leave. Now I'm asking for final approval for a placement on unrequested leave for Sylvia Vasquez. And so the resolution shall also be read in full as well. I believe you have the material.
Thank you. Any questions about this for Lisa? And Curtis, I think as clerk, we'd ask you again to read the resolution if you do have a copy. So before that, which then serves also as a motion, any questions for Lisa about this? Seeing none, Curtis, if you'd like to go ahead.
Okay, half a moment.
Yep.
My apologies. I inadvertently closed my window. Got it. Resolution, whereas the School Board of Independent School District number 623 adopted a resolution to place Sylvia Vasquez on a .254 FTE unrequested leave of absence at the end of the 2020-2021 school year. And whereas said written notice of the proposed placement on unrequested leave was served upon Sylvia Vasquez by the school district, and whereas said written notice of proposed placement on unrequested leave contained a settlement setting forth the reasons for the proposed placement, as well as a statement that Sylvia Vasquez was entitled to a hearing before the school board, provided the teacher make a request in writing within 14 days after receipt of notice, and that if no hearing was requested within said 14-day period, it constituted acquiescence by the teacher to the school board's proposed action. And whereas no written request of any kind was received by the school board or superintendent of schools from the teacher within the 14-day period, and whereas said failure to make a written request for a hearing within 14 days after receipt of notice of placement on unrequested leave constitutes acquiescence by the teacher to placement on unrequested leave. Therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 623 as follows. Sylvia Vasquez is hereby placed on a .25 FTE unrequested leave of absence as a teacher in Independent School District number 623, effective at the end of the 2020-2021 school year, pursuant to Minnesota's to MS 122A.40 subsection 11 without pay or fringe benefits on the grounds of financial considerations.
I think there's another second paragraph on the next page, Curtis.
The school board further orders that the superintendent of schools give written notice of the teacher's placement on unrequested leave of absence.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Todd. Moved and seconded. Any discussion among the board? Seeing none, Curtis, could you please call the roll for the vote on this resolution?
Yes. Director Anderson.
Aye.
Director Shaw.
Aye.
Chair Boguszewski.
Aye.
Director Chu.
Aye.
Treasurer Goggins.
Aye.
Clerk Johnson votes aye.
Thank you. The motion for adoption of the foregoing resolution being entered by Clerk Johnson and duly seconded by Member Anderson, and the vote being taken thereof, with the vote being unanimous in favor thereof, said resolution is hereby declared duly passed and adopted. Thank you. Thank you, Human Resources Director Chang, for leading us through this. Lisa, I know these aren't easy things to do, so thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
With that, we'll move to our next action item, which is the second reading of a policy, and Assistant Superintendent Lake will be bringing this to us this evening. Jenny.
Good evening again. We're recommending, again, no additional changes, no changes at all to policy 520, student discipline, and the first reading was held on May 25th, and the board had no requested changes at that time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Dr. Lake on 520? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to pass the policy.
So moved.
Thank you, Kitty.
Second.
Seconded, Rose. Thank you. Any further discussion among the board? Seeing none. Curtis, could you take us through it again?
Sure. Director Chu.
Aye.
Treasurer Goggins.
Aye.
Director Shaw.
Aye.
Director Anderson.
Aye.
Chair Boguszewski,
Aye.
Clerk Johnson votes aye.
Thank you. With that, we move to our ever-popular board reports, where we share things we think are worth sharing. Anyone want to leap in first this evening? No one?
Okay, fine.
Okay, all right. Clerk Johnson, what do you got?
Okay, this is truly in no particular order, but at my first teachers negotiations meeting, which was basically a get together to decide how we were going to proceed with further meetings, and that went well, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody. So I think things are going to go just fine. So knock on wood. I was able to attend a Little Canada listening session, and this was kind of nice. So basically, Little Canada parents were asked to Zoom in and tell us what their concerns were, what they liked, what they didn't like. It was quite heartening to hear that even through all the ups and downs of COVID, our teachers are extremely highly regarded. Not surprising, but it's always good to hear. And really, the concerns were more based on the parents want more face-to-face time. So hopefully we'll be able to do that next year. So, of course, my favorite topic, one of them, Social Studies Standards Committee, has been meeting literally every day. Currently working on vertical alignment, and with the idea again of trying to get version 2 out to everybody in June. We don't have a date yet. The group is we're going to meet as a whole in another week or so, I believe, and hopefully I'll have some more information for you at our next meeting. Let's see. Okay, AMSD. Okay. Have an AMSD meeting set for our legislative AMSD meeting coming up this week, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about is the current deadlock in the between the Minnesota House and Minnesota Senate about the education bill. Even though a total budget for education has been agreed upon, it's how you want to spend it is kind of the sticking point. So the Minnesota Senate has come up with a 3% in the first year and 1.5% in the second year, and that sounds really good. But the devil's in the details. So the offer, that offer is contingent upon the inclusion of education savings accounts, which in the House is a non-starter. It also does not provide money for pre-K, which current budget has. So 4,000 kids would no longer have the option to be in pre-K. There's also lack of funding for mental health, which is kind of even more important. It was always important, but it's even more important coming out of this year. A number of things that still have to be hammered out. The problem, of course, if they don't figure it out, then they could close the government. I don't think that's going to happen, but they don't ask me. So whatever you believe should happen, please contact your your representative and senator, and hopefully we can come up with something that will be helpful for everybody. So I will end my report on a high graduation. Okay, so what can I say? My favorite time of year. This year more than ever, because we were able to do it in person. First time for us doing it outdoors. And it was hot. But I'm from Florida, so I'm good with that. My hat's off, first of all, to Principal Hester and all our staff who made sure that there was lots of water everywhere and forcing everybody to drink. Of course, to the graduating seniors. And it was so really awesome to see the families congratulating their kids on the football field, and there was so much space to spread out. So it's just a very different experience. For those who didn't know, we held all of our ceremonies on the same day. Roseville High School had three. It was split up into three separate ceremonies so that we could spread everybody out. And it was absolutely incredible. If I had to pick one thing, it would be that I will definitely take away from that day is that the members for the Roseville area high school band played all three, and they played far and away, and it's the first time that we've been able to hear that live since Mr. Moriarty's passing. So it was great. I look forward to more in the future. So and to also not to leave out, ABE and Fairview Alternative High School, whose ceremonies are always so special because of their intimacy. And although we did not have the ability to listen to hear as many of the stories from the point of view of the students as we have in the past, it still was a very heartwarming, both of them, heartwarming set of ceremonies, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world. So that concludes.
Thank you, Curtis. Kitty.
Just building on what Curtis said too, is I'd like to thank all the people who worked on pulling that graduation together, because it did happen very quickly, and it was all the Roseville High School, the alternative high school, and the adult basic education was all very well choreographed with lots of details to make it happen, and they were really special celebrations. They were particularly meaningful because they were able to be in person. Which was wonderful after such a challenging year. And also wanted to thank all the families and the students. Everybody just cooperated. It was, there's a lot to be done, and it wouldn't have come off without everybody being so willing to make it a great celebration. I wanted to add, I had an opportunity to attend the Brimhall Principal Listening Session, where parents got an opportunity to provide input in what the district should be looking for in a new principal, and in essence, what they really like about their school to continue, and what they'd like the district to be interviewing for. And it was really fun to be a part of that and hear the different kinds of information shared. And I understand the Harambe one went very similarly. A lot of people are happy with a lot what we have and want to continue a lot of the things, but also we're sharing other opportunities. And I just want to compliment administration for providing so many different opportunities for families to have input. I know that Curtis was talking about the Little Canada listening session. There have just been so many opportunities throughout this year, and it's very much appreciated by families and very important and great to have their voice have so many opportunities to be integrated. I wanted to thank people for that. I had a chance to listen to the Roseville Black Student Union Student Group presented, and it's just so much fun just for how they did their annual African Night Show, which was online this year. They did an awesome program, which they produced, directed, and performed, and so many different of the groups have done that this year and really used their creativity and how to do that in an online version. And just wanted to acknowledge the students and the work they've done and the flexibility they've shown to be able to continue with their desired activities and groups of students. Congratulations to the girls track and field for being the conference champs. That's it.
Thank you, Kitty. Anyone else? Todd.
I'd like to build on quite a bit has been said about this past Saturday. To attend all 5 graduations was very special. Thanks again to Principal Hester, Principal Hayes, the tech crew. Sitting on that stage, I felt like I was in a rock concert. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And of a personal note, when I'm up there, as a school board member, it's even more meaningful when I have a chance to wear my parental hat and a chance to see my daughter walk across the stage is something that's important for me to mention. Very meaningful to see one's own child walk across like everybody else, but made it a very emotional, wonderful, fantastic day for me. And I also want to remark that it was great at the Fairview Alternative High School graduation and at ABE. I noted that some of the 2020 grads were invited to come back. Those that missed out on the graduations, for obvious reasons in 2020, to see them come back was pretty touching too. Pretty cool thing. So Saturday was a great day. So thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Rose or Frank, anything? Nope. Rose?
I'll just say that as someone on my second year of my first term being school board member, as I mentioned to many of you, I finally feel like I got to really be the school board member, to be in community, to be really witnessing the students, the graduates, and to listen to some of the speakers were amazing. I got choked up, I don't know how many times throughout the whole day. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many of you have noticed. I was like dabbing my eyes many, many times. So it just feels really good that we could actually finally do this. So hats to everyone. And I would say if people didn't tell me that this is not the way it was done, I would say that this is a great way to do it, to have it on the same day, to have it in the stadium where families actually know the school. This is their place. So something to think about for the next year. So hats to everyone and congratulations to the graduates and families.
Thank you. I just have a couple things. One, I was privileged to be part of a panel on a virtual discussion event that was hosted by Equity Alliance Minnesota that invited board members from other school districts to listen and hear in and ask questions, just what the experiences have been of Equity Alliance board members in our home districts, as what our learnings were, what our chief learnings were through the pandemic, and as we are looking like we're coming out of it. From an equity perspective, whether that's, as we've all come to see, that it lays bare many things that we kind of knew or suspected, but made it obvious in terms of inequity and disequity and access, resources, all that kind of thing within our districts. And I think also with us, one of the highlights was triggering in each of our member districts that are part of Equity Alliance, the need to dig deeper, that if, you know, something is just shallowly buried and the pandemic uncovered it, it also indicated there may be some deeper things going on that we need to be a little more proactive about discovering and identifying so we can work on those in the future. So this was the first panel discussion like this in what Executive Director Sebastian Witherspoon of Equity Alliance hopes will be maybe a quarterly or bi-monthly series with different topics where either board members from member districts or other invited guests can participate and share their thoughts that could be helpful for other districts who are either thinking of becoming members of Equity Alliance or who just aren't, but just want to tune in and hear what our experiences are that could be beneficial to them. So just wanted to share that and look for more to come on that series. The only other thing, I'm not going to say much more, but on the graduation, second everybody, it was a fantastic day. It was a beautiful day. It was hot. The one thing that wasn't called out in particular, I also want to commend all the staff just in the seriousness and the effort put in to manage the day because of the heat and the weather. I know Curtis or someone mentioned all the water bottles and everything that was out there, but just the planning and the replanning and the reconfiguring of things and how they would happen literally up until, almost the 10th or 11th hour in terms of, the time that the kids would be exposed in the sun, all that kind of stuff. It was really a commendable job done under tremendous pressure to a deadline to get stuff done and in place and then accomplished in a way that was actually pretty flawless when you think about it. It was a beautiful series of ceremonies, the three outside, the ABE and the FAS, and all of our collective hats go off to the folks and the staff who made that happen. So thank you very much. With that, we're through the agenda of the regular board meeting. As we know, there is a study session tonight, as is typical, and I beg the indulgence of our guests. Let's break for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we will reconvene in the study session. The regular meeting is adjourned. See you in a few minutes.